Welcome to another week, another theme stream where we talk all things LaunchBox, Big Box, anything about theming, along with just hanging out, having fun, talking about games, all that good stuff. Hey, Dragonstorm and David and your Skeleton Key, hope you're doing well this Friday. It's been a really nice week, I must say. Some pretty exciting stuff over on the forums if you haven't checked it out. And I've been developing themes, and I've got an exciting theme that I want to, theme concept really, that I would like to flesh out today, see if it's possible. But yeah, let's get to your questions. Hey, Alfred, Mike, hope you guys are doing well today. Dragonstorm, let's see what you got going there. You wish that when you downloaded a particular theme, I'm guessing in your case Unified, that Big Box automatically has the logos for all of your platforms, and I'm assuming you're talking about platforms, playlists, categories, all that good stuff. LaunchBox should already download quite a bit of logos by just importing your platforms into your LaunchBox, and Big Box should recognize them and use them. However, theme developers do have the option, and often do, replace your normal logos that you get downloaded and use their own, like a theme-specific logo. However, because of all those things that could happen, all of the variables, you may have to rehash in order to see some changes. Mr. Retrolust, hope you're doing well. Shadow Gaming, Obsidian, nice to see you guys. It's been fun. Hopefully you guys had a good week. It's always been a good week, and it's always great to end on a stream like this. I've been working diligently on a number of themes, just talking about theming. This one right here, this theme's like 95% done. I do have a few tweaks, but yeah, my first LaunchBox theme. It's been fun to go through. I tried to make as many comments as possible, and I've added a few things that haven't been done in previous LaunchBox themes, so that people that are interested can dive in and sort of take a look at how it's done. It is quite a versatile system that hasn't really been explored too much. One of the things that I did just to see it in action is oh god, you guys can't see it here, but you can see the side of it under my shoulder. There's tabs here, and the tabs will cycle through content on this sidebar, so hopefully it's a little more cleaner on this sort of game details area. But yeah, I mean, there's lots of little things like that are just sort of splattered throughout this theme, so can't wait to share it with everybody. But today I do want to get to a new Big Box theme and see if it's actually possible to do. And so I have a number of ideas I want to get to, but today I decided to see what would it take to build a modern port of the Xbox Series X store page. I didn't know what it looked like. I just came across an image. I'm like, maybe I could figure out a way to do this. So it basically looked like this. And see, okay, well, could I use this same design and try to figure something out? It seems like it's possible. Do something similar. So that's the goal today. The hardest part will be to do the same thing that we did last week, which was dive into the code and try to use the new flow control for this bottom part, because you can sort of see how it won't perfectly fit. I got to figure out which images do we want to use for this to make this up. Do we use one image, two images, and then we'll see what we got. So that's the plan today. But Mike, you're saying You love LaunchBox and Big Box? What's the plan for further updates? There is a ton of plans for further updates. We just finished the community poll, and items on there, the top 5 will get priority and will get added into LaunchBox and Big Box in the coming updates. Probably every single release will at least have one of those items in there. And then we've got, and we might be working on a couple of them simultaneously. I know number 1 was Retroarch Integration or Retroarch Integration. People seemed excited about that, and so what we've done is we will do some sort of integration to start off to see how it goes. And basically we'll do it in phases, and we'll sort of test how it's doing and how good it'll go. I'm not sure exactly what the first phase would look like, but it's got to be something like, LaunchBox will download Retroarch for you and then download cores for you. Be something like that. And then imagine we can just keep integrating Retroarch into to be able to manipulate your configuration files and stuff like that in the future. So it'll be stuff like that. We took the data that we got in the sorry, do I have the desktop thing going? Let me turn that down. Right, adding shaders, maybe sometime down the line we could have a shader downloader and a way that you can apply it to configurations. Now we're talking like way down the line, how much can we manipulate your configuration files for Retroarch that becomes easier than just using Retroarch? like is a month's worth of development time worth a few less clicks on people's behalfs? And it might be. We'll have to find that out. And Izzle, you're saying, how's Jason's doing? Jason's doing great. Talked to him this morning. He's busy face down doing his coding like he loves to do. And he's doing that really well. He's been working vigorously for you guys to get the new LaunchBox Android app out. And that should be out really soon. So if you have purchased it before, there is a forum post if you want to get in on the late beta of where we're at right now. There's instructions on you can email support with the email that you purchased the Google Play app if you've purchased it before. And then we will send you guys a link to the beta version of the new Android app. So he's busy doing that. That is something that'll come in the near future, along with further developments on that. There's always so much going on. It's really cool, but really theming is where it's at, where my heart's at anyway. And something that when you release one, and there's been a number of themes, if you guys didn't see, I do want to give a shout out to what I've been seeing. Let's take a look. Over on the forums, there is a new LaunchBox theme that came out, which was great. LaunchBox Galaxy. I'm going to butcher your name if you're watching. Raviol. He took the Galaxy, GOG Galaxy as an inspiration to build this theme. And he did some really cool stuff with it. So go check it out if you haven't. And hi, FDSF. Great product. Well, thank you very much. But let's get right to it. Let's get to what we can do here with this image. So I'm just going to open up the community theme creator. Oh, one final note. the colorful theme, if you're a colorful user, I would much appreciate if you go over to the forums into the big box custom themes section. I made a post. I posted this theme, which is the port of the colorful theme. Eventually, hopefully shortly, this theme will replace the current one that's sort of on its last leg. And so I just want to make sure that it's ready to go for everybody. It'll be a lot easier to add colors, new colors to this and stuff whenever Viking gets around to it. And the Ultimate Inferno Pulse theme is the perfect big box theme. So nice and clean. It is a nice theme, isn't it? And definitely a great theme to use. And I'm pretty sure that that scales to different kinds of aspect ratios, which is really nice as well. And FDSF, I'm assuming you're asking for LaunchBox Sinden light gun support, which I'm assuming you can already use. I mean, you can use the Sinden light gun. That's more of an emulator thing. You'd want to set it up in your emulators, and then you can launch games. I don't think we're going to have the ability to fire the gun at LaunchBox to launch games, if that's what you're thinking. Cool idea. But I can't see too many people really needing that, eh? But that'd be pretty cool. I mean, there's a couple light guns out there that seem really nice, right? Sinden being one of them. The other one is that gun for IR one. Something like that. I might have said that wrong. That looked really cool as well. The font in all LaunchBox themes is too small for you, Lex. Oh, that's too bad. Maybe I can make you a giant one. It also, with LaunchBox themes, it'll also depend on your resolution of your monitor, because that'll definitely change it. And I wonder have you checked whether the text will change if you change your text? The text scaler in Windows. I wonder if that would adjust it. And Ultimate Inferno, you wish more themes supported 4x3. Yeah, I mean, the reason why not as many themes support it, just because there's less people using them. But for the people that do use them, obviously we want more 4x3 type themes. And the people that use 9x16 screens want more 9x16 aspect ratio themes, and you've got people that have 3x4 screens or 4x5 screens or other types of resolutions. So you're right. I would say that a theme would have to be specifically made for that size to really take advantage of that space. And that's one of the things, as the author of Pulse would have had to have done, is thought, if I'm going to support 4x3, then people that use the theme on 16:9 are going to see a lot of white space. And that's just the choice that had to have been made. All right, so let's jump into this. I'm just going to call it ModernX, something like that. I'll probably change that name later. But the goal really is, let's see if we can try to build a wall view that looks similar to this. Yeah, I mean, what's great about the community theme creator is that it not just supports, so it does a number of things, right? It supports all of these aspect ratios where you hard code my themes for 16:9, my themes for 16:10, all these different ones. But then this stretch one is basically saying I support any monitor size and it'll just stretch to the screen. It might look funny on certain ones, but I mean, that's what the author of Pulse would have done. Anyway, let's jump into this wall view and see. I'm going to break down what this view looks like to me as far as how I'm going to port it in my head. So in the background, you know, I see fan art, some sort of fan art background. It's blurred. Over that looks like there might be a gray sheen to it. And I'm guessing they did that to probably control the colors, right? Because if you have too many colors as you're switching games, you know, the text, like the white text on a white background, would look terrible. So it looks like they put a gray sheen over the fan art, made it kind of dark, and then they may have even faded out the fan art a bit, because you can see here it's the same fan art as here. You can see here that this is quite bright. And if all you did was blur this out, it might be too bright over this text. So I'm thinking probably 2 layers will accomplish that in the background. This could be considered a video, and they sort of round the corners there. So I do have something that'll do that for us. Then you got the regular text. This, I mean, I've done this before. Probably do that again. And then this is even a different thickness, interestingly enough. I mean, this is genre. I can probably change this to something like the release year. Up here just says new games. I could probably change that to the platform name, which would probably make sense to me. I can add a few more things here probably. And this is really tiny. Maybe I'll try to make this a bit bigger for the game notes. And then down here, I mean, we won't have a price, but I could change that to something else, like the ESRB rating or something. And then this is going to be the fun part, all in the code, the actual wall. And you can see we're going to have an image. I can either do, I don't know, the same image, do a screenshot, and then do a logo on top of that. That would be 2 images per game that everyone would have to load, plus a little section here that I could maybe put badges or something like that in there. And back to the chat. Matthew, how are you doing? I'm doing great today. I mean, it's Friday and we get to stream Big Box. And Scoot Diggity, you would love to see a Poly Mega UI style theme? That would be interesting. I'd have to check out what that looked like again. I'm pretty sure I've seen it. UI. Yeah, it's this one. And so there's 2 things that that I think I've talked about to people in the past, is that there's the layout of other programs, and then there's theming. Theming's like skinning. And so while you can make it look like this, you can't have this sidebar that looks exactly like this and do exactly what this is trying to do plus this bar. You can kind of get away with that, but not in a way that would be sufficient for me. But, I mean, you copy the look, for sure. Right, you can get away with making it look like that, but it won't have all of the functionality that one has in the exact same place as any other UI program would, right? You still have to conform to the big box way of thinking, right? All the code underneath the theme. And FD, you're so grateful that there are so many themes. I am also grateful that there's so many themes. This was, on the forums last count, I mean, we definitely surpassed 150. So lots to choose from, and there are some old ones that I can always work on updating. If anybody finds an old theme that they really like, but it's just kind of getting long in the tooth, yeah, just let me know. Anyway, so based on what I just said, let's do a couple things here. Let's start with the fan art image. We'll do a full screen of an image. We'll call them metadata. Fan art. There's one. And you can even see that this would just be terrible if I put white text over this. And probably worse if I start putting the blur effect that I probably have to put on here. That looks all right. So what I'm guessing that they did was they brought this down a bit to bring in some black. And then they probably have like a rectangle. That they put here. And they probably colored it gray. And then did something like that, right, to give it that gray sheen. Okay, there we go. Might go up to 25 there. All right, background is done. The wheel is essentially going to be, let me get the lock canvas on. We're going to make this big. Always make sure that the width is actually the width. Sometimes it doesn't, pushing it all the way down. I might adjust that later. Maybe I'll just make it an even 650, see what that looks like. Looks good. Okay, so we've got the background element done, which was the easy part. Yeah, Scoot Diggity, yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm pretty sure I already did something like that, but not fully. Like, I just did a proof of concept of that theme in my proof of concept theme. Which wasn't really for that view. I just needed something to throw in there. But if that's what you're talking about, just like something like this, I don't know if I can search. The search is usually not that great here. Let's go straight into Big Box Custom Themes. So like this, right? I basically took a similar style but matched Big Box's I don't know, regulations that I had to follow, rules. And it is available on the forums if you want to check it out. All right, what's next? I've got this side, which is just a video. Let's do the video. So selected item video, what I am going to need, and here I'm going to open this up and I'll explain why in a second. Is if I want to accomplish, I guess I'll show you today how to accomplish this look of like a curved edge even on a video. And there's a number of different ways you can do it, but I'll do it the way that the community theme creator has the ability to do it for now. All right, FDSF, thanks for stopping by. Hope you have fun at A great party. That sounds intriguing and mysterious. At a lake. Swimming, soccer, food, and drinks. Sounds like there's not a better weekend for that. And some emulation. See, you're even getting better. You're just making it sound like you're gonna have the best weekend. I'm jealous. All right, let's center this up. Let's keep that. And I'm gonna leave enough space at the top for stuff I might want there. Make it big enough for a 16 by 9. And I think with the 16 by 9, do I want to center it? I'll make it wide enough to support the 16 by 9 videos so that I don't have to center anything. Or sorry, I don't have to right align anything or anything like that. Okay, something like that. And I'll put a little effect on it. Drop shadow. Bring that up. Put it down there. We got the blur radius, so it'll blur out the drop shadow. The depth is how far away the drop shadow is. And the opacity is how much you can see it. Okay, something like that. And Scoot Diggity, yeah, the retro console theme is really nice, isn't it? There's a lot of work that you can see went into that one. Okay, so how about all of the information on the left here? I mean, there's a lot of information on the left here. So what are we going to do about it? So the way that I look at this is I see, okay, everything's starting on the same side. So it's all left aligned. And there's a bunch of items that are just sort of stacked on each other. And I used the magical word, the stack. So we're going to build a stack and we're going to position the stack where we feel it needs to go. Something like that, leaving a bit of space. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a whole bunch of text layers and we're going to place them inside of the stack. Now all of the text layers, in order for this to work, need to be auto-sized, and it will just size it exactly the height and width of the actual text that gets generated. The first text that we want generated is going to be the platform name, because that's at the one at the top. So I believe it's under game platform. So there we go. Might as well use a nice Google font like Oswald for this. So for this case, I'll just use something like that. We'll make it bigger. Okay. All right, and then by doing auto size, it'll change the actual width of the title. And Super Nintendo Entertainment System is quite a long title, so I don't think we'll have any concern that we'll reach this point here. But if we end up reaching that point, the decision you have to make is, do you want to trim it? And I guess I will. And I won't wrap it. Is that what they use, the Segu font? Sure, let's do that for you, Alfred. I've been playing around with that font probably way too much. Oh, too many of them. How's that look? Very wide. So I'm glad that I put that text trimming on there. So game platform. So because we have the style that I want already, I'm just going to paste this text and I'm going to take a look and see what we got here. So this is actually thicker than this part, actually. Huh. Interesting. Okay. So we're going to use the bold down here. And we'll probably... Yeah, that's better. And this will be the game title. We'll switch that to game, the game metadata. So there you go. We're gonna make this obviously a bit bigger, and we can control how far we want it from each other with a margin. And we can also control stuff like the color, the opacity. So if we wanted, we could do it a number of different ways. One, we can just reduce the opacity, make it look less there. We can also change and make it less white. And then bring in the opacity a bit more. But the goal is to just make it look less, make the text, or the title, stand out the most. If this is on a TV, you don't want it all white, but maybe something like that. Hardly noticeable unless you really crank up your brightness like a TV. Let's just make sure that I have the right sizing. Yeah, it's not bad. Let's just look. Actually, that's not too bad. You might want to separate it just a tiny bit more. No, I'm going to 30. All right. And another way you can do this is that you can just sort of dump everything in there and then slowly adjust it, or you can do it one at a time like I'm doing. The next one, you can see, oh my God, there's stuff sort of docked next to each other. So, you know, I guess we're going to need a dock. We'll throw this in here, the same level as this. Oops. Of course, I put the same level inside of the stack. And this dock will also be auto size, so it'll auto size to anything inside of it. And what we'll need is a background. So I'm going to use like a background to create this little pill, and a text to create the stuff inside the text. Should be easy enough to do. The background could be done with a frame to get that corner radius in there. Frames have a background color and a foreground color. The foreground's used for the border. We don't need that. But we do need the background color to be something like a gray. And we're going to increase that. Maybe something like that. And depending on how tall we want it, is going to depend on the corner radius. And the best thing that I can tell you is this might be worth putting in an actual height. While at the same time, I'm going to put text in there just so that we have it. Of course, might as well just duplicate this text. Paste it inside the frame, the text itself. Okay, so far so good. Zero margin. We're going to need the vertical to be centered. We'll change this to a genre. Now we're going to see, does this game even have a genre? Hey, Neil. Hope you're doing well today. It does have a genre. All right. Actually, I don't need to move that. I'm just gonna stick that right into the dock. Okay. And it disappeared somewhere. No, it's there somewhere. What we will do is save it out and see if we have that. Thanks for stopping by, Matthew. What's my guess? My guess is that the dock needs to have a height. And that guess would be wrong. Oh, I see why. Because it erased my height when I put it in there. Cool. Now that makes sense. So 50, which I don't think we need, maybe a 30 is too small. So let's go the difference of a 40. Looks perfect. Now that we know it's 40, then the rounded corners each side to get that pill look would be half and half. So you got 20 on one side, 20 on the other. So basically 20 on the top, 20 on the bottom on each corner, and you will get that exact pill look that you see in that image. So now you'll notice that the text is really going off of the rails as far as inside of this frame, and that's because we need to put some margins in there. Easy enough to do, and we just have to control how much margin do we want. Something like that, and of course something that I haven't done yet, which is, but we don't need trimming, is that we want to change the text format to all uppercase, and that'll really give it that that better look that we're going for. We want to make the text maybe a bit smaller to accommodate the size that's in there. Looking better. How about one more? Not quite what I wanted. I mean, let's center that up. Let's make sure that's centered up. And I'm going to bring it up to 28. Nice. Okay. Personally, I either want the title to be bigger. Let's just make the title bigger. You know, take advantage of the space. Right? Give Lex what he wants. Bigger text. Okay. 55 is the current winner, and now we're going to position it a little further down. Let's give it a nice 10 pixel buffer. Let's see what we got. Maybe a 15 pixel buffer. All right, better. Okay. Maybe we want a second one in there. So of course this is for genre 1. Maybe we want to see a second genre. So genre 2. And then maybe we want another thing in there. Maybe at the beginning. And we're going to call it, actually this will be the release date, which needs to be a different element altogether. So let's go get that element. We'll just put the year. Other than that, I think we'll be okay. Bring that down just a tad. Where's the release date? No, it's because I didn't auto-size this. Okay, so frame. And of course, now I didn't put the margins on either side. I don't think I'll need as big a margin because I think I want this one to look different than the others. The frame itself, I want darker, almost black maybe. You know, just to say, hey, this is the release year. Yeah, there you go. And then maybe just like half the amount of corner radius. There's like, hey, I'm different. I'm more important than these other role-playing genre strings. And now we're going to look at what we want to do with the margin between the frames here. So that's what 10 looks like. I don't mind that. And of course, genre 2 would have to be actually genre 2. And you can see that this game doesn't have a genre 2. It's just one genre. So what are we going to do with that? Well, introduce our visibility conditioning friends here. And we're going to add a visibility condition that says if genre 2, if its value is essentially nothing, make it collapsed. So make it visible unless this happens, then get rid of it. And you know what? Just in case somebody in their library doesn't have a genre, I'm going to do the same thing for genre 1. Okay, but you know what? I'm not going to do that for release date. Instead, if you don't have a release date, you're just going to get something like, I don't know, 19XX. We're going to save that out, see where we're at. There you go. Let's take a look at a different game. You see a lot of these games only have one genre. Let's look at some of these stranger genres. Is it puzzle? Sports? All right. Well, let's jump to another system here. Take a look. We got Sega Dreamcast. Got action. And you can kind of see that if somebody doesn't have a background fan art or any of the other image priorities that they've set, we're going to see black. I kind of don't want that. So let's see what we can do about that. Let's try to get an image that'll just be there and be colorful. Do I have one? Is the question. Do I have one locked and loaded? I do, I believe. I can take one from this theme. See what it looks like. And we're going to go down to the bottom here. We're going to browse the media, create a new folder. Doesn't matter what it's called. I'm just going to call it theme. Fan art background. Doesn't matter what that one's called either. But the fallback image, or fallback folder, the fallback file name. Oh, it's going to do platform name or metadata, huh? Might not be finding it, and I know why it's not finding it. I'm going to have to do a quick conversion for you guys, which might cause some issues. Let me just jump this in here. Okay. All right, we're jumping into our friend Photoshop, and we're going to use this image. Hopefully, it gives some sort of color without being overbearing. And so let's jump into our G drive. No, our D drive. Oops. What do I call it? Modern media theme. All right, it's because Theme Creator only uses PNG files and not JPEG files, so I'll have to get rid of the other one when I can. And there it is. Okay, so at least we got a little bit of color in there when there is nothing back there. But I do believe that most people would have either a fan art background image or a screenshot that could be placed back there. And Alfred, you're saying if the item has no genre or game, or has no genre, you can display the community rating. Yeah, that's actually what's going to be my next step. I also believe that would go well one of two ways. I could either display it as text, or I could display it in an image. Both ways have got some benefits, and I can't remember which way I did it last, so I don't need that image. But if I go into, let's say, BannerBox as an example, I think BannerBox does it both ways. Could be wrong about that. No. So it does it using images. So the store just uses stars, eh? So that does take up more space, which is fine. We also got these images, which I don't think we'll need. All right, let's just use the stars then. We're going to place them here, and we're going to take a look at what we can do about them. What I'm thinking is that probably just take the release date, paste a new version of it, oops, and then we'll just place a new image in here. Call it star rating. Dump that in here. Oh, gotta delete this one first because a frame can only hold one element. Okay, so now we can deal with the height. The height we can use to control its size. We'll make it centered. And now we are going to say, hey, community or user rating, go look in the star rating folder. So far, so good. And of course, if you don't have anything, I do have a nifty little 0. Oh God, I've got a 0 and a 0, 0. Okay, let's just use 0. And it'll at least display something in there. Okay, so now we can use the margins to control how small we want it to look. So on either side, I can put 10 or 15. Might look better depending. And then the tops and bottoms, let's take a look. So if I do 5, getting smaller. 10, we're going to get really small, aren't we? All right, let's take a look. It's not too bad, isn't it? And we got the year, the community star rating, the genres. And let's move on to the description. So for the description, we are going to not need another text layer, but we will need a text scrolling layer. We're going to place it down here at the bottom, inside the stack. And we're going to make it a nice size. This one you have to actually set a size or it won't work. So 350 looks like it's a good size. We'll get rid of the background. Maybe we'll fade this out a little bit. We'll make sure that, yeah, it's reading the game notes. And we're going to get a nice font. Let's see what the regular one looks like. Okay. Getting there. That looks better. Okay. So it's a good size. We'll put a little bit more height in between there, a little bit more space. And now it's starting to come together, you can see here. Last thing that I want to do, let's take this one and we're going to paste it underneath this. Although I might need this here. So let's delete that one. And this will be our ESRB rating. I'm just going to call it the content rating. Should label these two. And I might as well jump that to this side. We'll make this a bit bigger. Yeah, maybe 5. That looks better. But we're going to completely change what this does. I think I want to make it look might want to not have a background and instead have thickness on all the different sides. What do you think? That looks a bit better. And then maybe I can even dim this out a bit and then reduce the opacity a bit. And Dan, how late are you? You're not that late. Only about an hour. But yeah, thanks for stepping in and catching this one. Okay, it still says fighting. That's not what I want. So I do want this to say the ESRB rating. So here it'll be an E for everyone. I do feel like this one needs to be different, in the sense that probably a 5 corner radius would be enough for this. And then we probably don't need as much of a margin on all the sides. Although for some reason, and it might just be me, I think it needs something like that. There you go. So we've got one of them in there, and I probably can take that, create a dock, the height of the dock will be whatever, and then there we go. Right, because then I can do the same thing and put something like the either play mode. I'm thinking play mode, because in this case I can just use text and say something like that. Do some separation between them. That might be better. Which means I might want to switch the sides there. This one would be play mode frame and the play mode. Something like that anyway. Got a lot of the features that you would kind of want to see on these things. We're missing a couple of them. And I might have a solution for that. A couple things that we're missing is whether it's a favorite, whether it's whether the game's completed or broken. I do have a solution. Let's see if this solution will work. So I've got some images. And down here in the same dock, what I probably want to do is place the images in there. I'm just going to drop them in here, and I'm going to rename them just so that I can make sense. This could be completed. This could be favorite. And this one would be broken. Okay, so this is one of the ways that you can do it. I'm just going to call this one a favorite. And this is just going to be a static image. I want this image to always just be the favorite. And we'll size it a bit. That's not sizing it. We're going to have to size it by just giving it a height and a width. So the width will just be that, and then the height I can just control that and then make it centered. So 35, how's that look? Not bad. Let's make it a bit bigger. Okay, I like that. So now we're going to set a margin. We're going to set an opacity. We're going to set a bigger margin. And now we're going to give it some logic. So visibility. I want this to always just be collapsed. Let's see if this will work. But I want you to be visible when the favorite metadata is true. So you're only going to show up if somebody favorited this game. We'll create a couple more. This one will be broken, and this one will be completed. Almost like these are just our own little badges. This one will be broken. This one will be completed. There you go. Kind of want this one to be 40 margin away, and then this one and we're gonna have to make them all the same, aren't we? That's better. Little more separation. Okay, broken. Now we just have to make this completely true. So if somebody's completed this game or marked it as completed, there we go. Okay, so we've got the favorite, broken, completed icons. We've got ESRB rating. We've got play mode. We've got the game notes, 2 genres, community star rating, release year, the title of the game, and the platform. And I think we're doing pretty good with the way that it looks compared to this one. At least the top part, anyway. Last thing, maybe I'll put the time here. I guess that would make the most sense. So there is a system time option here. And I'm going to see, I don't think I can do this, but maybe I can. I'm going to take the game platform. I'm going to copy the, no, you can't copy the text. Okay, so we're going to just do this manually. And we're going to try to position this manually. Okay, so let's take a look at what we have to copy. So we're going to copy this color over here. So here's my thoughts on button prompts, Alfred, and the reason why I try to stay away from them. Not every controller has the same buttons, and to top that off, people might have bounded their buttons differently than the default in Big Box, and there's no way to really say that a user is going to press A to go in and B to go back. That's what I hope that they're doing, but there's no way for me to know that. And so, and then there's no way of knowing like which button is their A button and which one button is their B button, right? Are they using a Nintendo controller or an Xbox controller or a PlayStation controller? Each one is different and they all have different names for their button positions. So it's tough. Like as a theme developer, I'm thinking like, okay, I could do that, but it won't be right. It's like what I'm going to, like, there's no way for me to win that battle. So what do we do instead? We give them the system time. Consistency, I will try to match what I have here. So we've got 35. That looks similar. And I can put this up here in the corner. I don't have to match it with the video because the video will adjust its size. I mean, and knowing that, I'm going to move this over a bit. Okay. So we're just going to sort of match it up with what's going on the other side. That wasn't right. 25. So it's exactly 25. Okay. So we are doing okay here. Versus what we have control over. Okay, there's something that Dave showed me last week. And I know he's on a second business trip right now. He's going crazy on these business trips. But one thing that we don't have the ability to do, and this will be interesting for people that have struggled with this in the past, we cannot align videos because the video control has no like horizontal or vertical aligning associated with it. Instead, we just have a box and we say, put the video in the box. And you'll kind of see, actually, maybe you'll see that if I do horizontal left and right, it won't do anything. What it does is just tries to fill the box and tries to fill it in the center. So depending on the size, we can't really do much. But there's sort of a workaround that we have in place right now. I'm saying all of this, but I'm kind of remembering that Dave didn't actually send me the build that allows me to do this. Let me just... Okay, he did. Okay, so you can see that you can make 2 videos now. And even though that doesn't actually work in Big Box because, you know, performance reasons, we don't want to have 2 videos going at the same time. What you can do instead is we can build it with 2 videos in mind. So I'm going to copy, I'm going to actually have 2 videos. Paste in place. So I should have 2 videos overlapping each other. But this one, I'm going to do a 4:3 version. And this one is sort of a 16:9-ish one. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to take this second one and I'm going to place it on that side. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make them both collapsed. And there's sort of two ways that I can do this, and I'm trying to think of what the better way would be. I would say that systems, so I could say something like this: make it visible when the year of the game let's see if I have that option. Surprisingly not seeing it. That's interesting. I'm blind, or he removed it from this list, which is fine. That was one way we could do it. Game developer notes platform. Series source status version. Okay, so he didn't add it to this, but what we can do then is say, okay, which systems do we feel have? I'm gonna have to do this backwards. So make it visible, but collapse it. Which systems have 16:9 videos? And I'm gonna try to list out as many as I can think of here. Essentially, we say the game's platform. If the game platform value contains Windows, as an example. Oops. Lapsed. What else do we got? Let's do Xbox 360. Game platform. You can kind of see where I'm going here, like the Wii and the Wii U. So I'll just put the Wii. What's funny is that there's some handhelds that are really widescreen, like the Game Boy Advance. Like the Virtual Boy. DS and 3DS, which is completely different. And 3DS is funny because some video snaps you show both screens while some don't. So I guess you have to decide which one you want in your collection. But as a theme developer, it'd be very hard to accommodate both of those. But yeah, I'm not going to do every single one, but you get the idea here. Am I missing any really big ones that you might have? Like, There's not that many. Maybe the PlayStation 3. Oops, press enter there. Yes, thank you, Alfred. PlayStation 3, something like that. I'm sure we can think of more, but the goal will, we'll be able to tell what we're doing here. We basically want to copy that, and we're going to paste that into our 16:9 video. And we're basically going to do the opposite. Let's copy all of these items and we'll paste them in here. And we're going to say this one's collapsed. Oh no. Okay, we're going to have to do this. Oh, good. Took my suggestion there. That's right, the Wii. That's why I I cleverly put that it contains the Wii in this line here so that it covers both Wii and Wii U. So we're basically saying this widescreen one will be collapsed. Oh, there's good ones. Switch. You know what? I can do this a lot easier. So like Switch and game platform contains, I'm just going to put PSP. You know, and we can go on, right? What I'm going to do though is say this one's visible unless, I'm going to clear all this stuff so I don't have to do two of them every time. This one's visible, but collapse it if the 16:9 version visibility is also collapsed. Sorry, is visible. Did that wrong. So if the 16:9 is visible, make this one collapsed. So then all the logic will be on the 16:9 one. And now we kind of have the ability to control the position of it. And we can even do this even further. Like we can have videos in different positions depending on what exactly that we need to do, where we want these videos to be positioned. And my understanding is that if the video is gone, it won't load it into, like, it won't be a performance hit if you can't see it or hear it. Now, I think this is how it works. I know that if the opacity 0 goes away, I'm pretty sure if its visibility is 0 or gone, it should do the same thing. But yeah, we'll test that out in a second, I guess. At this point, let's save it out, see what we got. The community theme creator won't or should adhere to that as well. Let's jump to the Sega Genesis, see what we got. You can sort of see that looks good so far. So let's jump to the PSP. And look at that. It recognized that, well, go to a game that has a video. recognized to do that video type, and it made it widescreen. And Sphere Outcome. You just downloaded LaunchBox. It told you that you needed .NET Core. You did that. Did you do that manually? That would be my question. Because normally, the installer will just download the one that it needs for you. The problem is, it might get in the way with any manually installed .NET cores you might have installed. Because there's a lot out there. So if you do have the ability to just get rid of all of the ones that you might have manually installed and let the installer do the installation for you, that would probably be your best solution. Okay, so now that we know that it worked in the Community Theme Creator, I mean, that's one step, but will it actually work in Big Box? We'll find out. Now let's find out now, because I don't think that there's anything else I do have to put in here. There's some stuff that I can clean out, some stuff that we can talk about after the fact, but for now, let's publish it and see what we got. Knowing that I haven't actually touched the wheel part, that'll be next. And Dan, I'm not sure if you're still around, but how does it feel to be pretty much almost done your logo sets? That must feel really good. And for people that don't know Dan, Dan Patrick has been working tirelessly on making platform logos, remaking platform logos from scratch in high quality vector graphics, like all of them. His goal is to do all of them. And he is almost done. And he's going to release it for everybody on the forums, and he has agreed to let us use them in LaunchBox. So we're going to try and adapt some of those, or all of them, as he's made a lot. Sometimes he has like 20 variations, 30 variations of the same platform. So we got to pick one of those that fit LaunchBox and replace some of the low quality ones, or maybe we got to replace all of them with all of these now standard set of logos that actually look really, really nice, adhering to things that we would need to do, right? Like most of our logos have to have that white border around it to just accommodate any kind of theme. Dan, it feels great. I bet. That must feel amazing. Okay, so what do I have to do? I need to switch to this new ModernX theme that we just made together. Now we're going to jump into one of these themes. Let's take a look. Hello, Nintendo, our friend. And you're seeing a couple things. One, forgot to put a margin in between the bottom, these bottom ESRB and the description. The description is there. I do have to control the text begin time when it starts scrolling. And of course, we've got this giant logos that we haven't actually dealt with yet, but that would be one of the next steps. Looking good, looking good. Okay. Other than that, everything else looks pretty good. Well, now we're gonna moment of truth. Let's jump to one of these other systems. You can see what happens when you get no around. doesn't quite go well. Oh, that is good to see. I wasn't lying to you guys. Essentially did a fake horizontal right of our video for most things. There are some that won't quite do that, but looks great. Okay, so yeah, got fix a few things, but nothing crazy. Oh, cool, Dan. That's good to hear. Yeah, I took a quick peek when I could, in between releasing the beta that's now currently out. And they looked great. They look great. So yeah, congratulations for getting to the end. That's always the best feeling. Let's jump into Wii. We're still good. Yeah, okay. So then all you'd have to do is if you had a system that needed the 16:9, you would just type, go into the visibility rules, conditioning rules, and you would just type in, create a new line. Do a publish, and you're good to go. Okay, so yeah, so there's some stuff that we can clean up, but instead, let's focus on this bottom part, which of course we will need to do in the XAML. But first, let's do a reminder. What does that look like? It looks like... Oh, I lied to you guys, didn't I? And of course, I'm just remembering this as I looked at that sheet, is I told you that you could put curves on this thing, didn't I? Let's do that now. So we're gonna jump to, doesn't matter which one, but you know me. Let's take a look at Arkanoid. Actually, let's take a look at one that actually has a background, like Adventure Island. I used to love this game so much as a kid. We've got the two. Okay, let's take a look at one of them. How do we get that rounded off edges? Okay, so we're going to need to do something called the Opacity Mask. There's two ways to do it. The one way that we can do it within the community theme creator is to use an image to do it. So we can use Opacity Mask image. And the way Opacity Mask image work is that it needs a PNG file. That file needs to contain two colors, actually one color. It needs to create black and transparent. The black part of the image will be the part that is shown, whereas the transparent part of the image will be the part that gets hidden when you apply this thing. So I can do one of two ways. I can have one opacity mask, two opacity masks, doesn't matter. You have to create them in Photoshop. So why don't we just do two of them? Okay, so let's do one of them. It doesn't necessarily need to be big, but okay, one needs to be 1024 by 768. That's 4 by 3, right? And then another one needs to be, we'll just do 1280 by 720. So not huge, but not tiny. Okay, so now we've got to figure out, well, what do we want to see? So I'm going to use a round edge tool. We'll do something like 25. Let's just take a look what we got. All right, so that'll round it like that. That's not bad, right? So we'll just type in exactly what I want. 1024 by 768. All right, so the black part will be shown. This I just get rid of the background, so now it's transparent. There's one opacity mask. Make sure you're saving as a PNG. I usually do it for the web. Where are we here? So this is a 4x3 opacity mask. And then we're going to do the same thing here. What did I say? I do it at 1280 by 720, something like that. We'll get rid of the background, and now we got our 16 by 9 opacity mask. Look at that. Okay, goodbye, Photoshop. Thank you for your service. And Full Metal Raven, you're glad to see me live once again. I'm glad that you were able to catch me again. It's been another great week in the summer. And we're getting through a really great theme. It's shaping up to be a really great theme. Okay, so 4x3, how do we do this? Well, luckily, we've got an actual opacity mask section on these videos. So if I go down here and say, I want to use image, go into my theme folder and find my 4x3 opacity mask, all of a sudden, the video will have that circular border around it. Like magic. Let's do the same thing for 16 by 9. And now that one has the border around it. And the reason why I made 2 was just because if the video is 16 by 9, the image you can see, will shrink down to the size and be fine. But the corners will get a little warped because the corners of the image is getting smaller. So to negate that, you just create 2 sizes. Another thing that Dave might think of adding in the future is we can also do this via a frame. So he could potentially say, if you put it in a frame and that frame has corner. Actually, as I'm saying this out loud, it's like, I think that you can already do that. Let me double check here. Let's run a test. Can I already do this? And I'm giving Dave a hard time. No, you can't do it. Now I'm remembering why. You could potentially do it in images. You can't do it in a video. Okay, so in saying that, you could potentially do that with a border. And just do corner radius on the border and then apply that to the video. Okay, Van Rose. Let's see. Is it possible to do that same thing on individual elements of the wheel? I tried to use opacity mask option, but it was masked the entire wheel. Yes. So there are different kinds of wheels that we have the ability to use. So depending on which one you used, that is a normal thing that will happen. If you want an element per wheel type, I did do a video last week showcasing the new flow control, which does allow you to do what you're asking. And I'm going to do it again right now. So maybe you don't have to go watch that video. Just watch me right now and I will do this for you. Not the easiest, but if you want to skip my ramblings and jump right in, go into your LaunchBox themes folder, dive down to your documents PDF, which is in every installation of LaunchBox, and here at some point in this mess, you will notice something called flow control. That's the original one that we have. Here it is, flow control, heavily updated in 11.10. And this flow control, if you will allow you to do what you want. Put an opacity mask on a per item basis and a lot more. So what you're going to see me try to accomplish today is this. we're going to have in one image, we're going to have this, put it like a little opacity mask here. I'm going to need another opacity mask for that, aren't I? Oh no, no I'm not. I can just do it all rounded here. We're going to have an image here in the background. Maybe I can just do the box art. And then I'll do this over top of it. And then maybe I'll put some badges in there for you guys. Starting on this side. I won't do all of them because there's like 30 of them. But I'll do some of them. And then you guys can decide if you want to add more or not later. And that's what you'll see me try to accomplish right now. Let's go out. Hey, you can, and depending on what you're doing, don't create, if you want to do the image, which does have its benefits, if you have your own library and you just want to do it for yourself, use the community theme creator. Come up here and jump into this custom images section and build your own images based off of your own library. And to just give you an idea of its power, I've got 500 Nintendo GameCube games. I can jump into a game custom image. I can put an image here. And to just do something, let's say screenshots. I've got to unlock the canvas, but let's say you want to do something like this. I'm doing this wrong for you. What would actually make much more sense is if I stretched it. I go down here, apply that same exact mask that I was just doing a second ago. Put another image on top. Let's say, why are you over there? 0, 0. Like, I'm assuming you'd want something like the clear logo. And this is all just an example. You got same controls as what I was showing. And then all you have to do now is publish. Publishes an image for every single one of your games, depending on your libraries. So render all games for the selected platform, and then you just go get a coffee, and you'll have 547 images. And you can see a lot of mine don't have screenshots or in the background. for this system. I should have picked a system where I actually downloaded those, but this is another way to do it. Especially if you just have your own collection and you just want to create images for your own thing. And then you don't have to worry about what I'm about to show you. All right, I should delete that. Okay, let's clear that. And now let's go back to our theme. And we're going to fix a little bit of what you guys see here and what I caught. So this, forgot to put a margin here. Much better. Can even do, go all the way to 25, why not? There you go. And this whole dock probably could use a nice 80% opacity. And Full Metal Raven, any updates or info on what you guys thought of multiple wheels in a wall view, similar to that of Netflix? So when you're talking about multiple walls or wheels per wall view, you really, let's break that down to what that really means. So that you're talking about Netflix is really something called pagination, which is essentially different things within the same view. So let's say if we break it down into what Big Box has, we have views for every single types of wheel types. So you would have, if we wanted to put something in there, which, you know, might be interesting to take a look at how that would work, we would probably create new pagination views, 2 or 3. Sometimes we've done we have a lot of 4, so maybe we had 4 pagination views, and then each one would essentially be both a platform and games view, right, in one. Where, but if you really think of that, how do we do that in a way that's performant? Well, we might have to slow things down or make things less. Like if you look at Netflix and the way that you move around in Netflix, you can't really move around that quickly. It's kind of a slow process to slug through their menus. And so we could do that. We could have things like that, either on a platform basis or playlist basis or something, some basis, and look at what performance-wise we get, what we allow in there to make it make sense. But it's really would be interesting to see what it would look like in Big Box, wouldn't it? All right, other than that, I think I fixed a few of the issues. I'm forgetting the text. Of course I am. Forgetting the text scrolling bar here. Basically saying, hey, why aren't you scrolling? Because the scroll speed is very small. The begin delay is fine, but let's just put it down to 0 just to see if it's going to work. See, that's better, right? And because there's lots of text that you have to read, maybe this is a good speed. I'm going to bring it down to 5 just to make it quicker, see what it looks like. That's better. And then we're going to bring this up to give people like, 8 seconds before it starts going away. Something like that. Okay. So now we got that. Let's publish that out again. So to answer your question, really, Full Metal Raven, yes, we've thought of it. And it would be interesting to see how that could be incorporated in some way. Like maybe it's not a new view entirely. Maybe it's a way to separate specific views in certain situations. And I think what we forget, and I forget this all the time, is that there's already ways to separate your library into lots of different types of filters. Right? We'll get requests like I want to be able to save like this type of image for like the box art for this system. Maybe I want a clear logo for another system, stuff like that. And then you realize, well, we don't just necessarily organize your stuff per system, right? That's one of the many ways that you can organize your stuff in. So are you really asking for like this for per platform? Because somebody else might be organizing their library in a completely different way. And what happens to that platform? What happens to that guy? Is he going to be able to use this feature? Is it flexible enough for this? And it's stuff that you just work through and make it work. Like try to make it, and then at the end of that sort of like session of like laying it all out, then we have sort of like an idea and a conclusion of, is this something that's actually usable for people? But at the same time, what you're talking about, pagination, I've actually seen that as a plugin. I don't think it exists, and I don't remember who was developing it, but somebody was developing some sort of plugin that would do that. Oh, was it you, Adam Fry? Maybe it was you, now that you're saying that. Because I remember watching, was it a video that you released, something that showed searching in Big Box with a plugin, and then showing the results in a paginated way. Oh, it's very far along. See, that would be awesome to just have. And a lot of features that people want, you end up thinking, oh, this actually works better as a plugin. This might not be one of those situations. I don't know. Eclipse video. There you go. There you go, Full Metal Raven. You should check the forums for Eclipse video. Yeah, and I'd also love to play around with that. If you ever end up coming back to the project and getting it into somewhat of a complete state for people to play around with. Because there's some logic behind certain features remaining being a plugin, because then if, let's say, 20% of users would use it and really love it, but everything that you add might cause some sort of performance hit to the program for everybody else, there might be just like the slightly more something that needs to load, like to grab the correct pieces of information that it needs to grab for this functionality to work. And so we sort of have to weigh that. Do we go in the should we be going in the direction of more features, more performance hit, or scaling back features to make it more performant? And where does that balance lie? And that's just a conversation that we have with everything that we do. I published this, right? Now I don't remember. Probably published it like 10 times at this point. Okay, so last time publishing it, and we are going to jump into the themes folder. ModernX. And you can see here, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to show it. It actually publishes and doesn't have the project file there. And it only gets created after you launch Big Box first. So launch Big Box. I'm going to try to keep this at the forefront here, and you'll see it. Oh, it already happened. It created the file it needs to create. Ooh. And there, Dan, there's another request, big request of having like, it's essentially the same thing, right? It's essentially not quite a pagination type of thing, but similar, where you're basically saying, can I have one view that loads everything in my collection? And just move around in it. And there's some pros and cons to that, right? You gotta load everything in your collection in some way. Have the ability to jump and organize it in different ways without moving views. You can fake it right now in themes. You can make it look like it's one view. All right, so now that we have the project file, let's jump into it and see if I can remember what I need to do. So I'm going to steal, again, same thing that I did last week. I'm going to steal probably the badges wall view, just so that I have that as an example. That's not true. Let's just do the normal wall view. I'm going to steal this wall view. I'm going to take all of it. Oh, of course, now that I thought of it, that was a bad idea. Let's just take the cover flow part of it, which is here down to here. And so really we're going to grab, whoa, okay, it refreshed itself. All right, so that's what I want. And I'm going to jump over to my theme, go into my wall view, and we're going to do the same thing. I don't need that. Don't need that. And just want to see that. Okay. Where are you, cover flow? There you are. So you are this. And we're going to paste in this cover flow here. So now if I did nothing and I just went into a system, I should see the normal wall view in the space that I have, and I broke it. That's how you break themes. Let me just read what it says here. 202. Yeah, that's what I did. This needs to go away. And now we're fine, because there was already an ending there. Right. Render transform. Grid. Here it is. And that's the grid. Okay. There you go, Adam. You're maybe some motivation. Somebody would definitely use that if you decide to finish it. There'd be a lot of demand. Okay, so now that it's not broken, let's take a look at what that looks like. All right, there you go. So like the new cover flow has been inserted into my theme. And now all I have to do is change this to look like whatever this looked like. Okay, so you gotta make it look like this. That's the goal. So you can see the separation between the items. 2, 4, 6 items are on there. 2, 4, 6. There's 7 items on here. So I can remove one, which actually helps with performance. Each one I can make larger and closer together. So let's take a look. The cover flow, this version of the cover flow has better properties to allow for stuff like columns. I can just remove a column and we're good. Rows, we really only want, 3 rows? All right. The middle one will stay in the center, which I'm fine with. Want to put some separation between them, maybe. Close them off, move it to the left. Okay, so item spacing. 0.05 here and 0.02 here would be the item spacing that I'm looking for. Here's the position number. The first one's X, so I'll just move it over by 2 and see what happens. You can see I moved it the wrong way. -2. Look at that. That was a lot. 1.5. We're doing this in chunks now. Getting there. 1.2. 1.1. Maybe it's just 1. Maybe I need 1. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Okay, so -1 is probably what I need. Okay, so now that we have it centered, which is probably not what I should have done first, let's build each item. So everything inside of this data template represents one item on that wheel. So that's how we can get a per item. And then we've got some triggers to tell us how exactly we want certain items to appear on the wheel. So this is actually just a one border. One border, he put 30 border thickness around it. He colored that nothing, transparent, and gave the opacity of the entire wheel 20% or 0.2. Then he said, if the item, if the data, or if the item or the game, let's call it, is selected, so if the item is selected is true, so if it is selected, make the border white. And that's what you see here. The item is selected, the border turns white. On every single other one, the border is just transparent. And then the second one here says, if the entire row is selected, make the opacity of that row 1. Or sorry, of that item 1. So if that item is on the selected row, make that game 1 opacity or 100% opacity. So that's basically what we're seeing here. Oh, look at that. Okay. So far, so good. Okay. So what we want is we want to maybe zoom in a tad. And to do that, we've got this width. And I think the lower the number, the more zoomed in we are. So I'm just going to go by 1 until I get something that looks better. Okay, that's not bad. As we zoom in, we're noticing that I need to control this item spacing. I mean, not bad. What I'm gonna do, and just to breed consistency, is to actually set a width and a height. I don't know what I'll do, but I'll do something that makes sense to me. Let's do 900 by 600 and see what that looks like. That's actually higher than I really wanted. So let's do 700 and see. And you can see by the size of the border on what exactly that means. Thanks for stopping by, Mr. Retrolust. Okay, now we're getting there. Now we're getting there. 30 thickness is really thick. Let's go down to 5 and see what we got. Oh, thank you, Adam, for coming to this and just hanging out. Like the best part of my week is to hang out with you guys and do some themes. This is not really thick enough. Now, at this point, what we can do is we can put a corner radius, which is what we need. Corner radius 10. Is not even close to what I want. So 50. Oh, look at that. There you go. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. Okay, so now the image is inside of it, which I haven't actually covered, is this one cover flow image type boxes. And we're going to look at what we can do if we horizontal align to the center, vertical align. Let's put it to the top for now. Oh, that's awesome. So they helped you get started with your project. That's so awesome. I'm so glad to hear that. And I'm hoping that when you're done with that project, you can show it to all of us on the forums. And I'd love to take a look at it. And we're going to actually do uniform to fill. Plus, we might need to do, I can't remember if I have to do clip to bounds. I have to do it here, and that basically would mean don't show anything outside of the whatever it's inside of, in this case, the border. There you go. It's working, and the only thing that you can see is not working is that I need to put an opacity mask on this. So this goes back to, God, who was asking for the opacity? Van Rose. Okay, so this is what you were asking for. Can we put an opacity mask on this image to match the border? Okay. And it's been a while since I've had to do this, so I'm pretty sure I have to give this border a name so I can reference it. So in this case, doesn't really matter what name I give it. White border. And then all right, cool. So what's cool is that I will publish this. Okay, so it did say that I disconnect there for a second, but should be back. And what I'm saying is that what's cool is that I will publish this, so you will be able to see the code later. But for now, just know that what I'm about to do is what exactly that you asked for. Now let's take a look. So we're going to be clipping an image using a border. Okay, so it's inside of this border already, and you can ignore all of this border style, so you don't actually need that. It doesn't matter for what we want here, but essentially I gave the border a name so I can call it inside of this cover flow image. So this image, I'm going to have to put something inside of it here. Cover flow image dot opacity mask. Okay, so what am I basically asking? What do you want to use for an opacity mask? And the answer is I want to use a visual brush, and the visual thing that I'll use is binding the element name of, oh, look at that. It found it for me, of my white border that I called. And that should be it. Let's see if I'm going off the rails here, or if I'm actually correct. Look at that. It's not correct. Unless it's just needing some time to get in there, but okay, let's remove that. Everything looks like it should have worked, but it might have not worked because I'm inside of this this cover flow context. I think. I might not need that anymore. Although I don't think that really made a difference, did it? All right, we're just going to put a border, a background, so that I can see what I'm doing here. I could instead just do what I was doing in the other one and seeing if that works, which is calling a very specific image. I wonder if that works. Oh, I know why. Never mind. Never mind. Basically, I've got to do this. I need another border around it. What did I call it? This theme for now, I'm just calling it ModernX. I probably want to change that name, but the whatever I call it, it'll be attached to this this video. I'll put it in the description of this video when I release it. So the reason why apparently it's not working is because you can't attach a border. That's the parent of this. Oh, that's going to take away the whole... okay. So you have to create another border with the exact same properties, give it a name. In this case, I'm just going to steal my name up here. Basically, give it the exact same properties that I wanted the other one to be. Might not need the width and the height because I already set it, but I do need the corner radius. All right, and now don't do this. Make this its own border. Oops. Add that border for the other one. Okay. Double checking what we got. Borders there. Element name, white border, taking from there. Cover flow, flow context, and the data template. Okay. So why are you freaking out here? That's why. So this needs to be put inside of a grid because only one element can be inside of a border, and I just added 2 elements, and now we should be okay. And it might just be that this doesn't like this cover flow image element. Might not like the opacity mask. Look at that. It really doesn't like it. Yeah, it might be a limitation to this this thing. Now there is another way I can do this actually. But now I'm gonna have to remember where I stashed my themes here. That might contain an element that I can use instead to make this work. Let's give it a shot. Let's give it a shot. Okay, so I've got something up that will show me somewhat of how I'm going to have to make this work. Okay, so instead of a cover flow, I can just use an image, which should solve this problem. However, in order for the image to work, I would have to do something like this. Let's go to my cover flow. Let's see. Okay, here it is. I would need all of this, I believe. Let's see if this works. I would have to call this data context and say something like, where's our box? Screenshot image path. That's what I'm looking for. Okay. So that brings me to this area, and I can say, I know not all of them work, which we looked last time, unfortunately, but we're going to try one of them, and we're going to see if this one actually does work. So let me see if this one works instead of this. Let's see what we got. I will need to do a clip to bounds. Can I call a front image path inside of our... Okay, look at that. We can. So now that we know that we can do that, let's set some of the things that we wanted to see here, which is the first one is the stretch. Uniform to fill. We want horizontal alignment to be center. And we wanted vertical alignment to be, let's say, to the top right now. Okay, so far so good. And now the second part of this, which is the opacity mask. We still have that border on the top, so we're going to say image, opacity mask, image, visual brush. And we're going to give it whoops. That should be actually be visual, and we're going to bind the element name of white border. Okay, does this work? And cross my fingers. It really hates the opacity mask, doesn't it? I might have to make it just straight for now. But yeah, let's answer your question there. You know what I didn't try, and what might be the problem actually, is requiring the height and width here. No, that was a good try, but it didn't work. Okay, so let me read your question here, okay? Before I get too far behind. And Nani, thank you for joining us. So you're saying you've made a custom arcade machine and you have Big Box on it? You are looking to make a custom theme that matches your cabinet, which is always a cool idea. You recently tested CoinOps just to see what it's like. And you like one of their features to browse their arcade games, sure. You can see how the original arcade machines look, and the video previews on the arcade machines look screen, or arcade machine screen. So if you're, I'm not sure which version of CoinOps you're referring to, but if you're referring to the new one that's like the giant wall. Now, is it possible to do all that? Someone is attempting to do that right now. Is someone attempting to do that right now? I believe someone's attempting to do that right now. So you can, someone did port an older CoinOps layout, and you can find that on the forums. And you can use that right now and check it out. It's got the arcade stuff in there. But if you're referring to like having like multiple videos playing at the same time, showcasing their sounds happening at the same time, I mean, there's someone, I believe it's just like one person or maybe a couple people that just spend their day with a template and creating these arcade images. Basically, the images just have to be made to show the layout of what the arcade looked like, and that's what they spent their time doing. So I believe someone's trying to port that over, and we'll see what it looks like. If you want to give it a try, you can. There are ways that you can accomplish that. You would have to get those images, and then you would have to treat them so that they work, or you can use them the way that they are. And then you would have to go into the theme creator, set up stuff that you want to set up, and then you would have to dive into the code to make the videos work properly. And there is a way to do that, and it's more advanced. And you can even see here, other than this opacity mask, we were doing quite well. But hey, at least we know how to do other image types inside of this wheel if we really want to. Hey, if I can figure this out later, I will just comment this out for now. And we will move on. So we're going to get rid of the radius for now, and we're going to take a look at what we have. Okay, so what I'm thinking is that I think that we should have a black border around it, or something close to black, maybe something like that. And it only turns white. I'm also thinking that I want it a little thicker now. So maybe 10. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, so now we're going to do the bottom part. We're going to jump down here, and we're going to do I wonder if it was this. It might have been that, wasn't it? What I'll do is I'll just add it and then comment it out, so I can revisit it later. Actually don't know if that's what it was. Front image path. I remembered. So let's remove that. We'll just uniform to fill. Opacity mask. And we'll do a visual brush. Binding. Okay. So then I can easily just comment each one out and really just play around with it later for you guys. Oh man. Okay. Okay, so let's go below this, and we are going to create another border. And this time we're going to make this at the bottom, and we're going to color it in. I'm going to grab the color from this. What is this? Like a gray. Okay, so I use my little utility, grab the color. We'll put that in the background, and then we will we'll see what we got. I'm gonna have to place some stuff inside of it, so wait for that. Actually, I'm gonna need a height, aren't I? So let's do a height of 50. We'll start there. It's probably gonna be too small, but I really want to see that it's there. Okay, look at that, it's there. Okay, so now let's do 250 and see maybe if that's too big. Now I'm realizing that I don't like this value here. But what we should do is provide a drop shadow. How about that? To probably this whole border. So to do that, we're going to write border effects, effect, drop shadow effect. We're going to add the blur radius of about 20. We'll do shadow depth, which is how far away from the image it is. I don't want it very far. And then we'll do color. In this case, I'm just going to do black, and opacity, which we will put at 0.03. Let's take a look at what we have. Okay, so it's there, it stands out, well, especially when you have a white background, which you'll probably see more on the newer platforms. I only have 2 games here, but and you can see here that it's cutting off, which might not be the most ideal, but you know, I can solve that. Now the question is, do we want the border at the bottom here to actually fade out like 0.8 so that you can see under it? 0.8 is way too much. 0.95. Well, thanks for coming, Nani. And good luck if you attempt to build it. Come back in the following week and let me know what your issues are, and I'll try to answer them for you. Okay, and you can see that this one looks a lot better. These TurboGrafx 16 boxes are really cool. Okay, so now let's do the last piece of the puzzle for today, and that's adding badges. So let me add 5 badges so that I can show, at least on the stream, how you do that, what they should be called, all that good stuff, and then we'll see from there how many we really want to see there. Okay, so if I'm looking in wall view, let's jump back in. So there is something called cover flow flow badge. Pretty sure that's what it's called. Let me double check. And you can do this check as well. You would just open up the default theme. You would jump over to wall view number 3, which is our wall view with badges. And that's where you will find an example of it. Right here. Cover flow badge. And then he just gives a badge name. So let's do that. Cover flow badge. Let's get rid of that. I'm going to give it a favorite. Of course, now I'm forgetting badge name, not badge image. And you've got to give it a height and a width that makes sense. Okay. You can see that that's basically what he did here. And it should be okay. Let's just make sure we're okay here. That looks better. There we go. Get rid of that. I don't know where that came from. Let's take a look at a system that does have some favorite games, just so that I can see that there's my badge. Now this uses the badges that are inside of your LaunchBox Images Badges folder. You can also get to it from within LaunchBox as well. In the badges drop down, there's a button that'll open this, and I've replaced mine with one of the badge sets on our forums, something like plain white badges or white badges or something like that. They're nice and uniform and very white, if you like that, and they go well in this theme. So, but in this case, that cover flow, just remember that this cover flow badge will just use the user's favorite badge, whatever it is, whatever's in that folder. All right, and all we have to do is, and I'm going to use a stack panel for this with an orientation of horizontal, is we just need to put whatever badges that we want here, and they'll show up. And the names that you give them are the names of the actual badge names here. So I'm just going to copy some of them. I'm going to say, is the game installed? So let me do like let me do 5 of them, and you can put them in whatever order that you want. So is the game installed? Is the game, does it have gamepad support? And we can go through all the different stores. Epic Games, GOG Games. We've got Amazon here. We've got Steam and Uplay. Xbox. I mean, we can keep going. I think we got about 30 different badges for different scenarios. MAME high score support. I mean, we had installed, but we could have not installed. I'm missing Origin here. I mean, this is going to be a lot. And so let's take a look at, if I jump into my computer so you can at least see Windows. This is beneficial for Windows because it's going to show me which ones are installed, which ones are not installed, whether it's from Epic or the GOG store. And you can see they're kind of all over the place. And the way that you would want to clean that up is to make sure that that you would want to make sure that all of these will hide themselves if they are not actually one of them, if nothing shows up. And there is a way to do that. And I'll have to do that later, but at least you can see that this will work. And badge support is a thing inside of big box themes. I mean, let's go through some of these. I don't have a lot of videos. Probably get downloading them for my Windows games. There's an image. Let's jump over to MS-DOS. You can see it starts using the MS-DOS videos on the top left, right there. And Abraham, how you doing? Will I be releasing this theme for download? Yes, I will. So look forward to that over on the forums, and I will have the description or the link in the description of this video once I get around to that as well. Looking pretty good. I just want to do some polish up, which I can do later. Some fades, some animation, all that cool stuff that you can do. Then what I will probably do is create a platform version of this. And then we got to think about what we want to do with the text games view. So are we wanting to do this same sort of layout for text? Do we want to change up the layout for like a text menu? Those are sort of questions that you'll definitely want. And Alfred, is it possible to add a condition on navigation? So when you scroll down the wall, the top panel disappears. And I thought about that. And so like you just want, I don't think that there's a way to stop the top panel from not being there, but the bottom panel's there. You know what I mean? Like the trigger. Like currently we don't have that. Could you try to fake it or try to make it so that they're far enough apart and position the items so that they just don't exist? You could probably do that. Right? I could make these items larger if I wanted to. I could add more stuff. Yeah, I can make this larger, make the space that the wall view exists smaller. I mean, that's a possibility. You know what's really cool, and I don't know if any of you guys have done this recently, but in the last few months I decided, I'm a huge adventure game fan, and I realized that I never had played this game, Beneath the Steel Sky, before, and it's been free forever. Like you can get it on GOG, they give it away for free. And I decided, and then when I realized that there is now a remake or a sequel to this game, Beyond a Steel Sky, I decided to play through this game. So recently I beat this game, played through it, and then got Beyond a Steel Sky, and then beat that game. And definitely didn't disappoint. As an adventure game fan, it was really, really nice to play through those two games. Has anybody done that recently? Just like some popular game that was out there that you just never got around to play? You're just like, I'm just gonna play it now. It is like this game has a really, really cool lore. Like the world building of this game was really nice. Like you really get a sense for how this world exists and why it exists, and all the decisions that were made to get to the point where they are. It's sort of like the opposite of Final Fantasy VII's world, or what is that? Essentially, the world now, or at least the town, the giant city, was built upwards in towers, and the higher that you go, the less money that you have, the less stature you have in the city. So the lower you are in the city, the more money that you would make and the more prestige you have. You played it on the Amiga in the 90s. I just tried the Amiga version, which was really not the version you want to try these days, but it was very interesting to try that version. But you didn't even know English in an adventure game? That's crazy. I would have felt like that would have been a requirement to play a game like this. It's like I feel like if you haven't played games like Broken Sword, if you're an adventure fan and haven't played a game like Broken Sword, Gabriel Knight, King's Quest 6 would be a good one. I kind of envy you because you would get at some point the chance to play through these games and really, really experience it now. Space Quest, like Space Quest 4 or Space Quest 5. Yeah, I need to get more of those games. I've got boxes of them somewhere, all the original boxes. Yeah, Monkey Island. If you haven't played Monkey Island 2, 3, and you played them with no English. Oh man. Did you enjoy them without understanding what was going on? Or did you kind of get an idea? I got a couple Scum VM, and you can see that even with systems that have little Blade Runner. If you haven't played Blade Runner, that was an experience. What's funny is that although I love the concept and idea of Blade Runner, I can't sit there and watch the movie over and over again. But the game was really, really good. This game. Isn't it funny then, Nani, that you were able to beat or play through Monkey Island when the whole system is written in English. Like the whole UI, you would have had to like make a selection of an English word and then click something in the world to understand what's going on. You would just have to just click everything. Let's see what it would look like on the Switch with a few games. Looks pretty good. Can't complain. I'll do some cleanup, and then I will go and I will release this to the forums at hopefully early next week. I'll have it all cleaned up for you guys and release it. But until then, thank you everybody for watching. Hopefully that was fun to get through. It was really cool to see that we could actually create this theme, which is kind of crazy. You can see that some of these games, they've got different size videos, which doesn't quite form to what we want, but it's not too bad. It's pretty good. But yeah, let me do that for you guys. I'll get this theme out, give it a name, and then I will post the link down in the forums. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully, if you have been creating any themes or you have any questions about themes, catch us next week. Same time, hopefully after lunch sometime on Fridays, EST. I will once again be streaming, and then hopefully I'll do something the complete opposite of this, and we'll go back to the past and we will create a retro style theme. So we'll do the complete opposite. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Have a great weekend. We'll see you soon.